of Tatooine. Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to rule with respect.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Boba Book Club. Listen, we're having so many technical difficulties. This is an unbelievable, an unprecedented night. First of all, Jake's here, but I'm in the other room. How are we doing, everybody? Welcome to Boba Book Club.
Where's the theme song?
Craig's on the move.
I don't know what that song is. I hope, I'm gonna try to take a seat. I have been working on trying to get this stream going for about 45 minutes. And listen, we somehow figured it out. It's not ideal, but we're here.
Welcome to Boba Bootleg.
Welcome to Bootleg Boba.
Yeah.
It was a good idea not to have a guest tonight. But anyways, I'm in the toy room. Let me go ahead and introduce all of our special guests and co-hosts tonight. All the way from Vancouver, BC, Mr. Ryan Dole. Ryan, what's up, man?
Hey, nothing. How's Target? Did you find anything while you were there?
I'm not at Target. I'm in the toy room on location. I'm gonna sit down.
Are you sitting on the floor now? This is great.
No,
100%.
he's sitting on the
Store,
flag.
but
Sitting on the USS flag.
Oh,
We're losing
better.
viewers by the second.
no, that is not
Yeah.
true.
After my whole speech this week about we really need to be more professional. Ryan, what's up, man? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just as I say every time when I start off, I'm giving this show 10 credits.
Nice.
I love this episode. I cannot wait to talk about it. There is so much to unload, like incredible amounts. So I can't wait. I can't wait. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. I'm excited to talk about it as well. Abigail Gardner, how are you?
Yes, I'm great. The burden is upon me to talk about this episode. I'm very excited that we got this group together and that we are running smoothly here. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. This was a great episode.
Let's not call this smooth. I
Oh,
want to let. Hey guys,
We're chugging along.
I'm on my new MacBook, which I bought 2 months ago and opened 8 minutes ago. So I skipped.
Hey, must
over,
be nice.
No, listen, you think I skipped over no Touch ID, no Siri, no Apple ID. I had to download Chrome and I'm in.
Could you imagine having
really.
that much
Factory
money where
settings.
that's your problem in life?
This is just my Chrome MacBook Pro.
Yeah, this is my
Run
backup
Chrome on this
MacBook
thing,
Pro.
really.
Don't worry about it.
Anyways, Jake, what's up, man?
No, I feel like this week in Star Wars, much like the show has kind of put together an Avengers-style. This episode felt like the Avengers to me, and I feel like we have the Avengers here to talk about it.
Yes.
that.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yep, we got Hawkeye, Black Widow, Captain America, Wolverine, and Troy. Who do you want to be? I think
Ant-Man.
you're Ant-Man. Okay.
Yeah, it's like that SNL sketch. Nobody ever wants to be Ant-Man, but I'll be Ant-Man this time around.
Take Ant-Man.
Yeah, I'll do it.
You choose it.
I think we
Cool.
all want to be Ant-Man these days.
You got some of the best lyrics in the musical, by the way.
That's true.
Oh.
And he wasn't even there.
He wasn't even there. Troy, man, how are you doing, man? How's your week?
I'm good. My week is good. I finally figured out something about Star Wars that has been bugging me for decades now. And if you guys want in on it, I'm gonna clue you in. If you want to survive through anything in the Star Wars universe, just stick next to Max Rebo. Like just you hug onto that elephant trunk and you don't let go.
Mm-hmm.
So
I bet
good
you
luck.
he's like kind of squishy, like a beanbag chair. That's what I imagine he's like.
Yeah.
He's
And
impervious.
anytime something terrible happens, he just kind of like and then rolls away. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the sorry not to just jump in, but I hope like the end credit scene of the next episode is like Max Rebo walking out of the bathroom and just being like, "What happened?"
It's like the community.
Opens the
got
door to the
peepers and
bathroom and there's no building
Yeah,
left.
yeah.
I love that.
Wow, they really insulate this bathroom well.
Now,
not again, damn it.
let's this is going to be pretty bootleg. I was supposed to be sharing this image. Let me but this is too on point to not share, or at least try to share. So
please just hold your phone up to the
Yeah,
camera. I hope
that's
that's what you're
literally
about to do.
literally what I'm about to do. So
Wow.
Only the best for the
doling
best
it in.
episode.
so Ryan Dole sent me this wonderful chart explaining. I think this was made by Patrick Locklet or Lochley, whatever you say. And Ryan, walk me through this chart that explains how Max Rebo was not there for the terrible bombing of Madame Garza's
Well, there's
palace.
another figure in Dan where Max Rebo usually is. So if you take a look, and on the right, he's usually on the right side of the drum tube beat to Astrocheck droid, right? So there in the red is where he would usually be, and he's not there. And then the other one at the bottom there, the other picture there, again showing that spot where he should be before everything goes to hell in a handbasket, literally. Yeah, like he's not there. So he was not in the room when this exploded.
Where it
There you go.
happened.
Spoiler.
We just
getting tipped off?
rewatched the episode like right before this, and
Yeah,
when it
me
got to that scene, I was trying to see if I could see him anywhere, and you're right, he's not on screen at all in the episode. So
He was out back draining the trunk.
I like how out of all
Maybe
of
he just had like the afternoon off.
I love how like of the I don't know 20 different insane things that happen in the episode. This is what we're stuck
Rebo.
on. Max
Rebo first.
I don't see
always-
why it's not a big thing. I think there's, like I said, there's a lot to unload in this episode.
Always go Rebo first.
Always go Rebo first. I agree.
Never go Rebo to Garza.
You go Max Rebo, not Min Rebo.
Never
Okay.
By the way, we got a lot of people joining us in the chat. And yeah, this is my first time ever joining bootleg Book of Boba book club or whatever this is called.
It's too much alliteration. Can't.
It's too much. My
But welcome,
English-
Craig.
Thank you. I'm enjoying myself so far. We're gonna get to the chat later. I know there's a lot to cover. I'm a little bit flustered. Okay, just tonight in general. So I'm gonna take a deep breath, and I'm gonna
Craig,
say,
take a deep breath. I'm going to continue for you for 1 second.
Go
In
for it.
Atlanta, in a room next to Craig, we've got Jake, who came all the way in town. He's going to be hanging out with Craig this weekend. Jake, what did you think of the episode?
I mean, I kind of don't want to go. I don't want to see next week's episode, honestly, because I know we're getting back to the Boba Fett storyline, and at this point, I don't care about that anymore because all I want to see is Luke Skywalker and Grogu. That's literally all I want for the rest of my life, like forever. Give me more of that. Like this is the best. Is this maybe the most overwhelming 45 minutes of a TV show that I've ever seen in my life? Maybe.
Could be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No. Abby, you're also in another room in the same house as the other two.
Yes, the same room as Jake,
Yeah,
but a different room from Craig. I found this episode to leave me, much like you just said, Jake, wanting more of specifically this storyline. I feel like the Boba stuff is sort of wrapped up. I want to know if it's going to be like Padawan or Foundling, or is it going to be the lightsaber, the chainmail? There's an obvious drive with that plot line, and I'm just oh god, seeing Grogu again. Like I don't want to get into it like right this second, but this episode was
Hold on.
everything and more.
We've all waited 4 days for this, and I've heard all 5 of us go. I don't want to get into it yet.
And then we talk about Max Rebo. We're just edging.
We're edging it right now. We're doing
this
it.
was
we're
like
doing
an
introduction.
unbelievable, surreal gift. It was just a fantastic, like probably the best episode, I'd say.
Yes, and we start off kind of almost bookends, but not quite. But we start off with seeing our old friend, Cobb Vanth.
Yeah.
Yes.
Marshall
That's
Vanth.
just amazing.
Marshall
Troy,
Vanth.
Yeah.
you love this guy. Take me through it.
Give me Deadwood on Tatooine with Marshall Vanth. He's still alive, by the way. He's got to still be alive.
Oh, shot in the shoulder.
I can't let go.
It's in the shoulder. He's fine.
They're gonna make it like he's dead so that it rallies up Freetown to go fight and everything. But anyways, yes, I love the fact that Cobb Vanth is such a badass, that Timothy Olyphant made him such a badass. Because in the book, he was kind of this. In the Aftermath book, he kind of seemed like kind of a doofus, to be honest. And they've made him like badass Marshall from Deadwood, and we see it in that first scene where he runs the Pike spice traders out of town, and kicks the spice over like a badass drug detective.
Such an amazing
worth more than the town itself.
I know. I was like, no, but also awesome. I feel like the fact that Cobb Vanth is back and that Johnny Knoxville has a movie in theaters right now is just like, it's just a good time to be alive.
Good time for daddies.
Yes.
Wait, what's the new Knoxville picture?
The Jackass, the new Jackass movie. Sorry, I'm playing into it. Yeah,
did a sequel to
I love the opening to the show. I thought it was awesome. Like right out of just being back in that area and seeing Cobb Vanth was a surprise. Like we weren't sure.
Like
back.
Just to chime in for a second, Timothy Olyphant is definitely typecast. Like Deadwood justified Cobb Vanth, and it's the best typecasting that's ever existed.
Well,
he kind of
fell into. He figured out. He's been around for a while. Like I was watching Scream 2 a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, oh, this is weird now that he's in this. But it's like whenever he did his first like Western whatever, it's like he was like, oh, people were like, okay, this is what Timothy Olyphant was made for. This kind of stuff. It's what he's the best in. And that opening, and I mean the opening and the closing with him, it's great. It's like I want to say it's the best thing in the show, but then there's 10 other amazing things in the show.
Well, and the other thing too, like that the first shot of the moisture evaporator spinning around, like there are so many Once Upon a Time in the West spaghetti Western things.
Well, even the samurai flicks.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's like Dave Filoni is putting to work all of his knowledge of everything here, the Westerns, the samurai films. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's worth mentioning too, is that bookend that you were talking about, Jake, is like, that's a great Western. And then in the middle of this, there's a great like fantasy story, like a training montage, like, balance good karate.
We get some Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in the middle.
Yeah.
We get Western films like, because I was even thinking too, like just that whole, when he's there standing there and he's with those pikes and he's just like, he's hand by the trigger and he's like, think it through. Yeah. Think it through. Yeah. Like,
and then at the very,
like, go ahead, Greg.
At the very end, you get I think Abby labeled it Grogu's choice, where he has to pick Miyagi-Do or Eagle Fang. Like it's tough. It's tough.
Why not both? Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's what we'll be debating till we see this.
By the way,
we know the answer, don't we? To what he chooses. Well, if we're gonna dive into it,
sounds like you do.
Well, why don't? Hey, that's a really good tease. Let's say hi to the chat real quick.
Okay.
Let's see who we got going. Cad Hansen, Blue Chainsaw Man, Thunderhouse Design, AJ Quick, Mr. Tony Taylor, Mike Davis.
Joe's tripping balls.
Dave's Dimensions. The Randalorian is here. John Yerkeba, Jeff Morris, Ghost Poppers, Mitchell Brinkley, Jason Grohowski, and on and on and on.
Man, good chat.
There are 4 John Yerkebas. Which one is this?
Strong chat.
Did I highlight John multiple times? Sorry about that. And also, I just want to say, while everybody was waxing poetic about Dave Filoni, I was able to get our graphics going.
Good job.
Hey,
very nice. Bravo. Pictures.
Before we go any further, though, since we are doing that, can we have a moment of silence for the fallen, for those who are no longer with us? And I'll bring up. Here we go.
Yeah.
Just 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Wind beneath my wings.
Madam Garza, Jennifer Beals.
Damn. So much potential.
No more helmet cleanings.
No.
Guess I'm not getting that figure.
Do you want your swines cleaned while you go have a drink?
I'm such a Star Wars nerd fan fiction fanboy. When the two Pike dudes like walked in my head I was like, oh, wait a minute. That's definitely Han and Lando. Just look at they're in disguise. And then
I mean, the episode
Still
led
could
you
be,
there. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, I can't blame you for that.
Han and Lando bombed. Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's the thing about this episode is that, we talked last week in depth about, this moment where Mando's going to go and see Grogu. And I said, it's going to be the post-credit scene this year. And Jake was like, no, we're not going to see it for a year. They're not going to show us anything. And it did that thing that is starting to happen with these properties and with fandom where you're like, well, they're not going to show us Ghost Egon or anything. It's like, not only is he there, he's coming to fuck up Gozer with the crew. Like, sorry, I like Ghostbusters.
Whoa.
I'm just saying, well, if you haven't seen it by now, get the fuck out. But so not only did we see Grogu, we saw an entire episode of Luke training Grogu and parallels of Luke and Yoda's training. And it was just, I mean, you guys said it earlier. It was sci-fi. It was magical. The Grogu's theme, and then what I'm going to dub the new Luke Skywalker theme, which is that Western acoustic guitar that we first heard at the end of The Mandalorian last year. The musical cues were on point throughout the whole episode. I didn't get to blubbering mess at all, but I was misty-eyed the entire time because I was in shock. I could not believe that, like, at this point, I'm like, are they going to do like a Luke Skywalker series? Like, we're like a year away from that just being able to, like, the technology
It looks so good.
I was going to say, that's
so
what you got.
good.
You got to bring that up. Like, I rewatched that Mandalorian episode with Luke pretty recently. And even though it still gets me, Luke doesn't look great in that. He looks like this is a real, like, I was like, that's a real person. I don't understand. Like, you can still kind of see here and there, but it's like, how I don't understand how this is like magic to me.
Is it the same guy?
He did a fantastic job. Go ahead.
You the same stand-in guy?
I assume so. He was he was the X-Wing. We should have seen it coming. He was in last week's episode.
Yeah.
Abby, so I want to go to you here.
Yeah.
You are a big old fan of Grogu.
Oh yeah. Love the child.
When Mando is pulling up, and by the way,
all 3 times I watched this episode, I grabbed my stuffed Grogu and held.
I did not know what you were about to say.
Oh,
I grabbed my stuff.
I grabbed my Grogu and I held him tightly because the the lesson learning and like the lush vegetation and bamboo and the moss on the rocks and like that scenery was just like so captivating. It felt like Star Wars, but also like something just a touch different and something just with the breath of fresh air to it.
Right.
I was just eating up everything. When it comes to that planet and seeing Mando like arrive there and then have to wait for a period of time and see R2 and have that bamboo bench built and take a nap. And I was just like, all of that was just like, yes, please.
I've done some research this week, and maybe somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe we know what planet this is. I think it's safe to assume that this is the Jedi Temple that Kylo Ren eventually burns down, which I was thinking today. I thought a funny meme would be the picture of Luke with his hand on R2 with the temple burning, and he's like, our temple that we built from our own hands, and then cut to the construction droids like, you built.
Oh my god.
I do love the scene though where he's like, hey Grogu, can you balance yourself on this stick? Okay, now watch me dance with my lightsaber.
So I mean, what was going through everybody's mind when I was still a little bit in denial? I was like, oh, he's gonna get there, he's gonna be with R2, and then when Ahsoka showed up, which was also not on my radar in any way, shape, or form, I was like, oh, he's not gonna see him. They're gonna go. She's gonna deter him. And then Troy, I mean, walk me through. I mean, I know we've talked a couple times this week, but are you? Can you believe they went there and in this manner?
No, I can't at all. I mean, I think the text I sent to you, or maybe I was holding it because I wanted to tell you here, was if you would have gone back to like 2005, I think, when the first Clone Wars animated film came out, and you would have told me that Ahsoka character was someday going to be in a show with a Mandalorian where Luke Skywalker is training a baby Yoda, and it's all going to happen in a Boba Fett show, I would have thought you were high. Like, I would have been like, what?
Dude,
Like,
absolutely. And I want to talk about that too, because they already, at this point, it feels like they already met, and we never got to see that first meeting. So there's that kind of like, I always wanted to see it. So right now it's kind of living in my head canon of what that happened, where she's kind of like, I knew your mom. I knew Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Just like
I knew who Obi-Wan Kenobi was sleeping with from Mandalore. Like, she could go through all of that because she knew,
and that
she was.
line,
They could
I'm
talk
a friend
all
of
night.
the family.
Mhm.
Like,
I'm a friend of the family.
I'm a friend of the family is like.
So are we going to
Yeah.
do you think they're going to flash back, or do you think the like her series itself is going to start with her and her first meeting of Luke?
I think everything's on the table right now.
Everything's on the table now.
Yes.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm no longer gonna say no. That's not happening.
Yeah,
At
they're
this
going
point,
for it.
they're doing everything. They're just doing it.
Mhm.
Do we? So the on a different level, one thing that became apparent to me is that this Book of Boba Fett series is probably not what they originally mapped out. I don't like. This episode was incredible, and there's been some individually great moments throughout this series. I would say overall it's been good and enjoyable, but it's not really a story worth giving a whole season to. Like, there's no way that Robert Rodriguez and Dave Filoni were like, we should do a season of Boba Fett where he takes over Bib's run as the leader of the crime syndicate in Tatooine, and then the Pikes are going to come and they fight the Pikes. It's like, that's not a. This almost feels like an interlude or a go-between, or they were planning season 3 of Mando, which we've talked about. Like, a lot of people had no idea they were filming Book of Boba Fett. I have a feeling that somewhere around the time Pedro Pascal was going to, whether or not you choose to believe it, there's been some tension with Pedro in that production, and he wants to do other things. He does not like being in the Mandalorian suit. And from what we've heard, and he got cast in the the video game Last of Us, and I think they had to make some moves, and I think they had to kind of change their direction at some point. I really believe that, because from a storytelling point, and these are master storytellers, you don't do 5 episodes of a storyline and then have 2 full episodes of a complete 180 with 1 episode left. It just doesn't.
No,
To me,
it makes no sense.
It's very
Right.
Game of Thrones in that sense.
To me, it's
you know what
very
I mean?
To me, it's very Star Wars in that sense, because it's like with Star Wars, you have so much where you're watching and you're like, wow, this could not be any better. This is perfect. And then there's like left turns all the time, and it's like, oh, this
Consistency.
sucks.
Yeah.
Now this is great again. This is weird. What is this? And that's what it feels like to me. It feels like Star Wars being Star Wars, and they're like, I don't know what we're gonna do. It's like they, Mandalorian was such a good thing, and maybe they kind of jumped the gun. A lot of people were really excited about Boba Fett, and that Boba Fett episode of The Mandalorian is a better Boba Fett episode than any of the Boba Fett episodes I think have been. So I think it was like excitement, and they were like, yes, we're on to something. Let's do a Boba Fett show. And I think, Craig, you're right. There was like that coupled with, Pedro, and it was just like, well, let's just do everything.
Troy, what do you think about? Do you have any thoughts on any of that?
I mean, I think my theory, and this is just my theory, this is not based on anything, is that they were trying to do like a backdoor pilot with Boba Fett, and this Book of Boba Fett thing was going to be like a one-off episode in season 3 of Mando. And then they realized how everybody responded to Boba being back, and how we said, oh my God, he's so cool. He's kicking ass. He's got the Tuscan Raiders gaffy stick. And I think so. Maybe if anything reactionary happened, it might have just been like, we've got this one episode that we were going to do to kind of tee up a Boba Fett show, but what if we like turn it into 3 or 4 episodes,
like a mini series?
Yeah, like and it kind of dovetails into Mandalorian season 3. And That's my impression of it, because everybody says like, oh, this is reactionary, that we're not into the Boba Fett show, so they're just sandwiching in Mandalorian. No, you can't. Like, look at how intricate everything has been woven together here. You can't just like do that.
Right.
But I think what they can do is they can stretch whatever they had for the Boba Fett plotline or backdoor pilot or whatever it was, and turned it into those 4 episodes that we saw. And then it makes a whole lot more sense. Like, the whole thing with the Tuscan Raiders was probably the meat of the whole thing, but they kind of put it over 3 different episodes.
Yeah.
But I'm just glad. I'm just glad this is all happening. Like, it's so much fun. Like Jake, you said, like, okay, I wasn't into episode 4, but I was really into episode 5, and I was really into episode 6. And maybe
I think Kat nailed it in the chat. Because she said this is what Dave would do.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I'll pop it
in Clone Wars, where we would get 3 awesome episodes of like Darth Maul and his brother just going around the galaxy, beating the crap out of people, high-fiving Hondo, and then all of a sudden we'd get like a 3-episode break of like droids hanging out in a desert, hanging out with a snail, and then all of a sudden we'd go right back into Darth Maul, like.
Yeah, but how many episodes? How many episodes are there to a season of the Clone Wars?
Right,
57.
Well,
there's
right.
8 episodes, 7 episodes
the
of
first
this.
4 seasons is like a ton.
Yeah, but still, that's still the same kind of thing, though. I think
it is. No, I think it is, and I also think like collectively, like if you look at season 1 and 2 of Mando, Book of Boba Fett, and then like Ahsoka, it almost feels like it's all interconnected, right? Like it's there's genetic tissue that goes through all of it, especially now, and it all connects back to like Clone Wars and Rebels, and it's actually genius. Like Dave Filoni is like straight up getting his way right now.
Well,
they're retconning things left and right. Like they were books, and they were saying like now, like the novels and the comics, they're canon now, and they've already like retconned like multiple things from the new novels and from the comics, all because it's like it doesn't fit Dave's and Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau's vision.
I think it's dangerous. I will say this right now. This is kind of a different topic for a different day. I think with a universe this vast, with this much storytelling potential, I don't care how good your story team is, and I don't care how good your oh gosh, what's the word I'm looking for? The folks that make sure everything's in line and everything doesn't
continuity.
The continuity people.
Yeah, your continuity.
Yeah, when you're dealing with comics, video games, novels, it's almost impossible to keep it all in line. And then right now, if you're thinking about Star Wars canon, you really got to be thinking about the movies, the live action shows, and then Rebels and Clone Wars and Bad Batch, like everything else. And like Troy was saying it earlier, like the way Cobb Vanth was portrayed in the Wendig books, in the Aftermath books, is not the way that he's being portrayed necessarily now. And Chuck Wendig also came out, was really mad this week that he did not get any credit in these episodes.
Oh, really? I didn't see that. Interesting. He didn't get his characters created by. It's work for hire. Sorry, Chuck.
Ooh, sorry, Chuck.
Sorry, Chuck.
Jump in the chat. Tell us what you think, Chuck.
Oh, man, that's going to be my shirt for celebration. Sorry, Chuck.
Yeah, it's tough, I think, when you don't have that overarching, like this is someone who had a vision, like maybe with Game of Thrones, like George R.R. Martin might have, or Star Wars. But at this point, there's so many different people telling stories of the Star Wars stories and building. So yeah, it's hard to keep. I feel like we could do a whole study on canon and like teach.
And the beauty of the way that they're doing this right now, though, is you don't have to know all of that canon. Like you don't have to know that. That Cad Bane once trained Boba Fett and they were a mentor-mentee kind of thing. Like, you don't need any of that. You don't even need to know who Cad Bane is, the way that he set this up. Like, this dusty stranger comes in off the horizon and Cobb Vanth tells everybody to get indoors. Oh, shit, this is a big deal. That's feel awesome the weight of him. Yeah, it doesn't, you don't need to know any of the backstory from Clone Wars or Bad Batch about Cad. You just, know that this guy is trouble.
And creaking on the windmills and
so
on the horizon, like the music.
I also like though.
Yeah.
I like the idea that he parks his ship like 3 miles away and slow walks in.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that. And I love like the first shot. Let's just go right into it. I love when you first see Cad, like, because that they kind of did it in such a way, like in the distance, where I actually first thought, holy shit, it's the fucking Tuscan. Because of the way the long coat was and everything.
With the
And then as it got closer, I saw the brim of the hat and I was like, oh, fuck off. You gotta be
see that hat.
no. And I'm that dude from the country song, and I'm just like screaming into my pillow, and my poor neighbors probably thought I had guests over. It was like I was going crazy once it kind of clicked.
Yeah, Cad Bane.
And then he's got the new law, because before he always wore like a shortcut, so now he's got like the duster. He's missing his rocket boots, but I think he lost one of them fighting Fennec Shand in the Bad Batch, so of course he wouldn't have those. So that's continuity right there too. And then they got hang on, Thunderhausen, hang tight. And then after the his thing's tilted down, he still kind of talks from the side of his mouth, like he always did, because he always had the toothpick in. And then you hear the voice, and it's the actual voice actor from the Clone Wars, and that was it. I was just like losing my mind. It was so good.
You know what? It's so like, they just did what they should have done. Sometimes it's really not that hard,
sense, right?
Like they just did what, like, it's not what the fans want or what the fans deserve. It's just the best thing. Like the best thing after you watch this episode, I was like, oh yeah, I did want to see 45 minutes of Luke Skywalker training Grogu. I'm really happy that they gave that to me.
Yes. Running up that hill.
One of the things that I realized watching this episode, and this is not to say anything bad about the sequel trilogy or any other Star Wars thing that exists, but it's gonna kind of sound that way. But the fact that, like, when I'm watching this episode and Cobb Vanth shows up, this is his second episode. This is Ahsoka's second episode. This is Cad Bane's first episode. But I'm watching it and I feel like, oh, these are the new Star Wars characters that I want to be around. Like, I want to know everything about all these people. And maybe the sequels didn't really pull that off in the best possible, you know what I mean? Like, there was a feeling watching this episode that was just like, oh shit, like there's a weight to it going forward. There's
a weight to it. I mean, Cobb Vanth feels, I really want to be careful here.
Oh, I know exactly. Do you want me to say what you're thinking about saying?
I want to know if you know what I'm going to say.
I thought you were going to say Cobb Vanth felt more like Han Solo than Han Solo did in Solo.
No, close. Cobb Vanth feels more like a Han Solo type character than Poe Dameron did, and I know that's what Poe Dameron's role was supposed to kind of be. I think there's a seriousness, a heaviness, a swagger, but he doesn't have the same motivation as Han Solo. You think Han Solo would have kicked over that chest full of spice?
No. He would have had a spoonful of it and a flame.
Flip it. Absolutely.
Hey, also, just to point out something in the chat, AJ Quick just said I might have to watch Clone Wars in the bad. I love that we have made AJ get into Star Wars.
Go team.
Well, but this Cad Bane, like, he feel like, even if you haven't watched it before, he feels dangerous.
Yeah. You have immediate.
It's just his demeanor, the talking under the hat. Oh man, he is like the coolest dude ever. I want to go. I don't want to go have a drink with him. Actually, I'm scared of him. But
no,
like he's like he's so cool.
So let's talk about that. There's a lot to cover here. I feel like tonight's, strap yourselves in, folks. I'm in the toy room. And I'm having a great time.
And we can bounce around too, right, Craig? Right. I mean, like, we're all over. It doesn't matter.
One of the conversations we've been having the last couple of weeks was, this show might have a villain problem. Like, Chrysanthemum's not going to be the villain, and the Pike Syndicate doesn't seem very, they're threatening, but not. They're more threatening this week because they're.
Oh my God! This week now I want them to all
actually do something this week.
Right.
It's the only thing they've really done.
But Cad Bane is a reveal of a villain who, at its core, Star Wars is about good versus evil, right? So you need a Darth Vader, you need a Darth Maul, you need a Kylo Ren,
you need a Boba Fett.
I said that whenever it was revealed, whenever Chrysanthemum kind of jumped onto Boba's side. That's been Chrysanthemum had been my biggest disappointment in the show because he looks like such a badass, and I was like, cool, we're gonna get to watch this dude, be
Props
a villain.
to Jake,
and
who
then
looks like him.
They took that away from us, and I was like, oh, I kind of wanted a cool, like, menacing villain, and they brought that back this week. Now we have another cool menacing villain.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I'm really hoping that, like, sorry.
No,
Cad Bane, when he was saying, like, this area belongs to the Syndicate, so just let us do our thing. No one else has to die. Like, and you knew right off the bat too that deputy of his, he's done.
I was like, shut the fuck
He deserved it.
Now,
somebody called him Deputy Dash Rendar, and it was, that was great.
That's great.
Hey, Freetown. When he said this is Freetown, all I was thinking was Silvertown from Joe Dirt. That's all I could think of.
Oh my god.
What's the name of that town, Joe Dirt?
Freetown. So, I mean, what's crazy is we haven't really even started talking about Luke and Grogu, and that was the bulk of this episode.
Yeah.
Like
run, jump. You could be my backpack while I run.
Oh, they're gonna have to do a new one of that. They have to.
They are.
Have to.
I feel like it's too good, almost like you can't spoof it. It was so special.
When Mando shows up and you first see the Jedi Temple, this is the beginnings of the connect, just like the Clone Wars had the connections that somehow made the prequel trilogy after 25 years a beloved, a beloved and nostalgic property and part of Star Wars.
And they fleshed it out.
They fleshed it out. I think, they haven't. We know this time period is pre-sequel trilogy. We know this is right around the time Kylo Ren is going to be born and Rey is going to come after that. We know where Luke Skywalker ends up, right? And I think this episode, as great it was to see Luke, and it was amazing as it was to see him training Grogu and to get more pieces of the Jedi lore. Like seeing Luke Skywalker in his prime post Return of the Jedi is what every Star Wars fans want. Was what we wanted our whole life. Now we're starting to get it. But much like Spice, how about some more?
But you also start to see those like dents in there too, where he still questions himself.
I love
like
that.
Luke was. Luke. Yes, go ahead.
When he looks at Ahsoka and he's like, "What should I do?" I was like, that's the most Luke Skywalker thing possible, and I love badass Luke Skywalker from the end of Mandalorian. That's amazing. But the fact that they were like, "Hey, Luke's still a little, unsure and like insecure about things," and the fact that he's asking somebody who was a Jedi long before him, like I just thought that was that's such an amazing moment, him saying that.
But it seems like he's on the verge. He's about to go through that really annoying, I don't want to offend anybody. He's about to get real religious, and he's about to really go hard on the Jedi way and how it's black and it's black and white, and there is no gray area, and he's forcing
no
Grogu
connections.
Yeah. And
and even still, he was still being. I still found him like connected to. Like Ahsoka right away, which had me like, okay, he's already like attached himself to her because he's like, am I going to see you again? Which again is two things it shows me is one, we are going to see them together again. And two, he's already showing that sign of attachment that his father had. Yeah. So,
and also Mara Jade's going to be in, we're going to see her.
Oh my God. Don't. Dude, like I would love that
because I think an important aspect, and Abby, I'll go to you on this.
That's cool.
I think an important aspect of Luke Skywalker is to see his flaws, and I think that's people who hero worshipped Luke their entire life had major issues with what they saw in The Last Jedi because they did not like the idea that Luke was that flawed, maybe misguided. Whatever he was in The Last Jedi, giving up on the Jedi Order, turning his back on it, full of guilt and pain, being, whatever that was. But I think it's important for the overall story to see
the struggle
emotionally.
Yeah, because he's not a perfect person, and like nobody is. There's dark and light, and you work to maintain balance and to use the Force. But I think that old notion of like Luke just being like an infallible, unflappable hero, and that he should maintain that, it's not modern Star Wars for sure. And I don't think it's as interesting as seeing Luke actually questioning something, asking for advice on something, going through like a learning process, like he's learning from Yoda in Dagobah in Empire. So I think it's nice. Is what I'm saying.
I think people get Luke and Leia.
I feel like Luke has always been that way. Like from the, I think the people who get mad that he's like that in The Last Jedi, they just forget what early Luke is like, because he's like that from the moment you meet him. I think that was one of the things I loved about this episode.
Where could they be? Chill.
It's not just I was saying. I think that people get Luke and Leia mixed up, because Leia's the one that's very assertive.
Which one's the girl?
Yeah, she's assertive. She's very certain of what she wants. She knows what she needs in order to get things done, and she doesn't question herself a whole hell of a lot. I don't even know if really ever in the original trilogy.
Well, she was raised by generals and people who were
and senators and politicians and she was.
Luke was raised all in that mix. Moisture farmers who they were just like,
shape it up, you guys, come on. Look,
he was a little country, she was rock and roll,
yeah. Listen, Luke Skywalker he's a hick. No, I'm just kidding.
He's sucking on a chili dog.
I want to say, like, Craig, the thing that you mentioned earlier, that this is going to make you look at the sequel trilogy a little bit differently. It already has made me look at one scene very differently in The Last Jedi, where Luke is in that pool with the Jedi logo on it, and he talks about the downfall of the Jedi, where their hubris. And we're seeing Luke's hubris here, so maybe he doesn't quite understand what happened to the Jedi in the first place, and here he thinks he can train, he thinks he can start the new Jedi Order, whatever he's going to end up doing, and so there's now self-contemplation in that scene that I didn't see before, where it's like, I knew he started the Academy, I know we saw it burning, and that Kylo Ren was the result of that, but we're actually getting to see him thinking that he can do all of these things at this point in time. And like you said, he's questioning it. So he's not listening to that voice in the back of his head that he should be.
Right. And like, I don't know if this goes well for Luke and Grogu. Like, I don't think, whether or not if Grogu makes the choice, or like, I don't think Grogu's going to become the first student at the Jedi Academy. We
already know who the first student is. He said, if you take this lightsaber, you will be my first student.
Right.
When we go back to Rise of Skywalker, he goes, my first student was Leia.
Yeah, but also, like, I'm trying to pin, like, but
they could retcon that too if they really want to. I mean, it's Grogu, for crying out loud.
No matter what he picks in season 3 of The Mandalorian, it will be both things. You know what I mean? It is going to work out a way to be both things. Like, we 100%, like they've really set up Grogu's Force abilities, Yes. And we're gonna see more of that. There's no way that we are not at some point in our short lives that we are not gonna see Grogu wearing chainmail and wielding Yoda's lightsaber at the same time.
Have your
It's
cake.
going to happen.
Eat it too.
I think we're getting it as early as next episode.
At this point, it's probably already online.
I think they're already on the way. They're going to be that big fight, and then Luke and Grogu are going to show up, and Man's going to be like, my baby! And he's going to have that chainmail on, and he's going to be frog jumping, drop kicking Pikes in the fish face.
Well, there was a scene where Ahsoka, she said something to the Mandalorian that as soon as she said it, I was like, she says it about Grogu, but I'm like, hold on. this is you saying this to the audience.
I have it written
about
down.
us. And she says, Grogu misses you a great deal. If he sees you, it will only make things more difficult for him. And I'm like, no. We miss Grogu a great deal. And if we see him now and we don't get to see him immediately the next episode, it's going to hurt.
That's true. That's very true.
You're right. We have
By the way,
quite the bond with the
Troy,
child.
I want to go to Troy next, but I got to shout out my shirt. It's my Tattooing Traders Company polo bootleg Boba Fett polo bear, Ralph Lauren. I thought I'd be wearing it. I ordered it a couple weeks ago when Boba Fett used to be in this show, and I thought it'd be really cool to have it on.
I think they just put out a Cad Bane shirt.
Boba Fett has more dialogue in A New Hope than he has in the Book of Boba Fett. He's not in that movie.
He's in this episode for 30 seconds, has 0 lines, and he just looks confused the whole time. He's just like, so
he's like, I can get you, foot soldiers. What?
Troy,
and you know the Tuscans, but anyway, whatever. Yeah.
Right. Troy, I didn't want you to get stepped over. You were saying something earlier about.
Oh no, I was just gonna say when we were talking about the chainmail, I wanted to say as a father of a toddler, I just want to warn Grogu that chainmail's not going over his head. It's not gonna fit.
That's what Jake was saying. He was like, "That's not gonna fit." I was like, "What if he steps into it?"
He's got a little rubbery face.
There's no give to it.
You don't think there's like a little elasticity?
I forgot. Ray Cameron's right. Boba Fett is in the special edition of.
Yeah, I didn't want to correct you because I didn't want you to feel bad, but
I'll
let Ray do it.
So is Jabba the Hutt, but you know.
I'm a boogie.
Yay.
So
do they have to go back to A New Hope special edition and redo Jabba the Hutt again, knowing they can actually make decent Hutts?
Can make it better.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Just keep updating it.
That happens.
No, Star Wars is like you know, Mac iOS. You know, every 6 months it's
never finished.
Little update.
It's gonna be a new iPhone.
Mando, let's talk about this.
Star Wars will update at 12 p.m. tonight.
By the way, my favorite thing, that's funny. My favorite thing, when he says I can get some muscle and he flies over the sandcrawler and all the Jawas are waving.
Dude,
it's so funny.
With the
Great Dragon. Yeah. Is that like a hood ornament? Or are they going like that's what I interpreted as is like this is
it's not that different than the
or are they delivering it somewhere?
Vintage the Ewok battle wagon has like a bantha skull on the front. I think that's kind of inspired by that.
Dude, I imagine that the Jawas are seeing his ship and they're just saying to one another, "We got to get that fucking ship."
Yeah,
like,
see where he lands. We gotta take.
Is that a Naboo starfighter?
Yeah.
They crank their Metallica back up to go with their skull and go.
Oh man. Okay, so let's start really breaking this down. We start to see Luke and Grogu in these training scenes, and Grogu is floating a one-eyed frog, and Luke's like, "You call that floating a frog?" And Luke does all the frogs. And,
it's like
the thing that really stood out to me in this episode is there are some iconic shots. Like the cinematography was on another level. The landscape was beautiful. But listen, Luke looked great the whole episode, but specifically that one shot of him and Ahsoka where they're kind of looking at Grogu, it doesn't compute. We're well past Uncanny Valley. We're on Uncanny Boulevard going towards I can't believe what I'm seeing Avenue. Like that's like I just
The Rock says this.
I agree though. I was like, this is my new Luke. This is my favorite version of Luke.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But they have that with all that bamboo and she's just chilling and they're just seeing them on screen together talking back and forth is surreal enough, let alone it actually looking like Luke. I was like tripping balls when I was first watching this. And it's like I didn't understand what was going on because it was just so my brain was not
overwhelming.
Well, because Grogu's doing like a dance, dodging all the
doing the jumps.
Yeah, it's like there's
the Yoda style jumps.
The eyes on.
Whenever Luke is like, "Watch this," and then he runs and he does the like exact run with Grogu in his backpack, and he's doing the flips, and it's just like
fish lands. Yeah,
he quotes Yoda a couple times, and he says the whole do. There is no he did like.
I knew a dude like you pushes them along.
It's like size matters not.
Super jump,
pushes them around.
People in the chat are asking us to talk about the Order 66.
All right, let's talk about it.
Oh.
So
here's some trauma.
This is
hey kid, how was your childhood?
Yeah, this is the therapy session here.
So this is obviously early on. This is early days of Luke and Grogu training. I also wondered the couple things that I pondered throughout this episode that are not that important to the story, but like how did Mando know? Like, did somebody tell Mando like where Luke was going? We know Mando got a phone call from Pelimoto at one point.
Well, he put one of those Apple trackers on Grogu.
AirTag or whatever.
Yeah, AirTag. Yeah, it's very controversial. And then also, how long's Ahsoka been there, or did she show up just to kind of intercept Mando? Is she kind of keeping tabs on him?
I think she's been hanging out a little bit.
I got the vibe that they had been hanging out together.
So
from their chemistry.
I do want to point out that Corey Burton, the voice of Cad Bane, was the voice of James Bond Jr. as well. Big deal.
That's important.
Corey Burton does a ton of voices. It's insane.
Let's get him on the show.
Yeah.
He wants to make Grogu. He wants to make Grogu remember, right?
Yeah.
And he kind of mind melds him a little, and we see this, I don't know, heartbreaking first-person view of Order 66 kind of happening in real time. We did find out last year that Grogu was, Ahsoka revealed that he was in the Jedi Temple. So we've all kind of known he survived Order 66. So let's just roundtable it. Jake, what were your impressions of this?
Man, it's something I feel like I need to see. It would be cool to see more of Order 66. And it's like almost kind of weird seeing clone troopers and then clone troopers being menacing, because it's like, something that happens with clone troopers and stormtroopers is they're always just like, they're just cannon fodder usually. So that whole scene, watching them take down some Jedi, not knowing who these Jedi are, I was just like, oh, I hope this is just showing us like, oh, we're gonna find out more. We're gonna see more of this. Maybe we're gonna learn who those Jedi are.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first things I thought was like, oh, is that Tales from the Jedi show gonna be like about, are these guys? Are we gonna know who these guys
that
are?
backstory.
I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to see more of it too. I felt like it was pretty devastating and hard to watch, but it's always cool to get to see a different perspective of Order 66. You got to kind of build up to it in the the last season of Clone Wars, and then Bad Batch, the first episode of the season 1, was like starting right in the middle of it. So it's just really cool to see that a different angle of it, like from Grogu's eyes, and it does lead you to believe you'll probably find out more about those people on screen.
And how he got the hell out of there.
Yeah. That's the question you ask. You got to know. I need to know.
Ryan, did you see the people spotted the insignia of, sorry, I'm trying to kill a bug in here.
Bootleg.
It's getting weird on bootleg. The insignia of the one Jedi, how do you say her name? Barriss Sophia. Yeah. So you see her emblem on the side of the wall. Do we think that's like just a little Easter egg, or is that going to be? Is she going to?
It could be, because that whole storyline with her also kind of like getting she went to jail, right? Like she framed Ahsoka, and that was like the whole thing that led to Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order as well. That was closer. That was pretty close to the timeline of Order 66 when that all happened. I think. Mm-hmm. There could be a few months, maybe a year between that and Order 66, because I know that there's some time apart between Anakin and Ahsoka before that last season starts.
Right.
Because Anakin gets very excited to see her. Also, I do want to point out that the colors on the stormtroopers, because before, when we saw Order 66, especially in the temple, everything was always kind of at this weird distance where you saw, almost looked like little figures shooting out Jedis and stuff. This was our first time seeing them kind of really close up and seeing that this is the 501st. This was Anakin's army. Yeah. Like, this was his garrison of clone troopers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now we're getting that head-on look of them and just being, like you said, like menacing. Like, these are the characters, again, that we got to know and love through Rex and Echo and Fives and Jesse, and now seeing them just go to Slaughtertown, right?
Yeah.
It's just overwhelming again, this whole like episode. And again, if they're tying in stuff from Bad Batch, because what's that Padawan's name again? Whose insignia was on the door?
Oh.
But she appears in Bad Batch as well, because they used her because she was in prison. They used her,
Barris,
to
try
to bring back the Jedi, right?
Okay,
like
yeah.
Oh, right. So, that's a good.
I remember that.
I mean,
well, I think it all adds
in.
So a couple things, like clearly who they're gonna make we're gonna find out who rescued him at some point. It's gonna be an important story point. I think that's safe to assume.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it necessarily means like it was Obi-Wan, like a big reveal. Like I don't think that's necessarily even important. But the one important line was when they're done, and Grogu wakes up and he's like, "What the fuck? Why'd you do that to me?" As he's
it's like frogs. Look at the frogs.
Go do the frog thing. When he's training Grogu, he says to Ahsoka, he's like, "It's less like I'm training him and more I'm like he's what's the line?
He's remembering.
He's relearning."
Yeah.
Which I just thought was really poignant. And then
sometimes the student guides the teacher, right?
Yeah, sometimes the student guides the master. I was just looking at that. Yeah, sorry.
Good one.
The other thing too, Craig, that really struck me was when he first tells him he's going to remember, because the whole conversation starts about home. Like, do you remember home?
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought we were going to see Home Planet, Yoda, Grogu, Home Planet. Which on one hand, I'm like, oh my God, this is, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. But then as soon as I realized home is the Jedi Temple, I wonder, was he brought there so young that he doesn't remember anything outside of the Jedi Temple, that his entire lifetime up until Order 66 had been there?
They were baby snatchers. And on top of that, like, you got to remember, like in Clone Wars, Cad Bane, going back to Cad Bane, all tracing this back again, he was hired by Count Dooku to go kill Force-sensitive babies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, this was in a cartoon.
Yeah.
Sounds like
right. But I think and I think one thing this is a little bit off topic of what we're talking about, but like I more than ever, last year the big thing that happened at the end of season 2 was the reveal of Luke Skywalker, right? So you got to think that like next week, are they going to attempt to top that? But I don't know how they top this week. But I started thinking,
well, they bring Yoda in.
Well, just Force Ghost Yoda,
and hold the lightsaber with Grogu.
Why not?
It's working. I think, I don't know if it's going to happen next week. I will not be surprised if in one of these shows in the next 2 years, we see a scene with Luke, Han, and Leia. And it's going to be a big deal. And it's going to rile a lot of people up. But I think that Filoni, in fact, they know what is important to Star Wars fans. And I think you can move forward with new stories while continuing to honor, if the technology's there to do it.
Yeah.
Are you saying that it's important to put Luke, Han, and Leia in a same scene together just once? Is that what you're trying to say?
I am saying.
Are you trying to go backwards way at saying like, hey, why did that never happen?
Well, listen,
3 movies.
You know what? You know what? It's interesting. I think if they could do it over, they would have imagine if Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni would have tackled the sequel trilogy.
Oh my God.
It would and it's not, listen,
you broke Jake.
Rey is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars.
She's great.
I think that The Force Awakens is an awesome movie. I think, though, this kind of goes back to what Jake was saying earlier. There's a gravity to Cad Bane and to Cobb Vanth, and even to just I don't know, just every character that they introduce, whether when Ahsoka appears on screen for the first time in live action, you there's a feeling you get, it evokes this feeling of this is important. This is bigger than me. This is Star Wars. This is my religion. And I think it's that doesn't happen by accident, right?
Right.
So,
and
I don't know.
People talked about it too online. Like people said, I've never seen Clone Wars. They were like, who is it? Like people were already gravitating, like you said, to Ahsoka. You're seeing it already now with Cad Bane.
Iconic.
People are just like, oh my God, this dude's the coolest. And the rest of us are all like, oh my God, he's going to kill everyone we love.
Yeah.
You know what it is?
Well,
you know what it is? Hold on real
Go
quick.
ahead.
You know what's fucked up? You know how cool Hux was in The Force Awakens? And you were like, this guy's like a, the Third Reich.
He's like a rich kid's son, and you just want to slap him in the face.
Yep.
Do you think they would ever do a scene with like Cad Bane, like making jokes and
getting face slapped and
it's like
I feel like Cad Bane added a level of like realness and gravity to Clone Wars, and that's kind of like he has that weight.
But it's not just
already.
Cad Bane. Moff Gideon, he's a scary dude. He was scary the first time we saw him.
Right.
First episode's of Mandalorian. We've got that doctor and the other dude, the German dude. He's just like, I want to see the baby, and you're already just like,
you can't not make him scary,
right? By the way,
but even like the Ugnaught, everybody, IG-11, like it didn't take us long to get attached to these characters.
Hey, this is funny. Good actors, yeah, that helps too. The line that really broke me, by the way, was when Ahsoka is telling Mando to basically, you need to get out of here, and he goes, "But I came all this way," and I was just like, "Oh,
yeah." He's about to cry.
We sold the toy we had on hold for you, but I came all this way.
He's about to enter the sad comments.
But street date isn't until Saturday.
Well, I guess they don't want my money.
Yeah. I'll just leave this chainmail on the table. Do you not like armor?
So
I do think going back to the
Brick Seek said you had 3 in stock.
This is another show at this point.
Right.
I do want to say, like, going back to talking about Yoda and who might show up at the end of this. I don't actually think Yoda will show up next episode, but at this point, like, doesn't it make sense for Yoda? Like, Luke didn't know when he didn't know about Grogu in Order 60. You know, he's like asking him about his home and shit. Yoda is the only one who would know. You know what I mean? Like, Luke
doesn't even know his dad killed like so many kids.
We're quoting Yoda. We have Yoda's lightsaber. Yoda's the only other species. We know Yoda shows up in his Force Ghost. Like, at some point, are we not gonna see Yoda come forth and either interact with Grogu or give some sort of advice towards?
Everyone comes back.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't mind seeing Force Ghost Yoda, sparkly glowy, showing up in Ahsoka as well.
Yeah, sure. Anywhere. I mean, it just feels like, or at this point, it feels like we're going to see everybody, right? Like,
and maybe we don't necessarily have to hear, or I mean, see him. Maybe we'll hear him. Like, Grogu will go to that temple and he'll hear Yoda's voice or something.
Yeah. He'll hear Ashley Eckstein. What?
He teaches Grogu how to talk at the annoyance of everybody else, and they're like, "Cool."
Wish he hadn't learned that.
Riddles.
You know what? Riddles, you will.
Do you know what part really kind of like punched me in the gut though? Was when it's Ahsoka and Mando, and he's like, "It's right there. He's right there." He's like, "Well, I want to go see him. He's a Mandalorian foundling." She's like, "Well, maybe he's a Padawan now." Oh,
yeah.
Like, I think your boy just dumped you. So maybe it's time to know your distance and leave.
Hey, by the way, we should acknowledge this because this news just broke a couple hours before we started. Disney Plus confirmed that Kenobi will premiere in May.
So that's is it going to premiere the weekend we're in Anaheim? Are we all going to get together and watch it? The 5 of us? We're going to
probably watch it at Celebration, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
my God.
In May. we are gonna we will be back. We don't have a name. Midnight Mando Boba Book Club. We need a clever name for Obi-Wan. We could
work on it.
Yeah,
we'll get there.
I'm gonna be Obi weeping if that happens.
Fridays
Obi
with
1 a.m.
The Obi Shobi.
Obi Shobi.
Obi-Wan Shinobi.
I like. Obi.
I saw
That's a winner.
I saw
Shinobi.
somebody mention it in the chat, and we were talking about this earlier. You were talking about Cad Bane and how scary he is, and he seems like he could kill everybody. So he killed the Tuscans, right?
Probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my god, I didn't even think of that. Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, they mentioned whenever, I don't remember who says it, but somebody insinuates like that those guys didn't kill all those Tuscans. Like
there's no way
it's
that's
insinuated
the
that
gang.
it wasn't the gang. So
Are we gonna
who else
see
at this point?
Dream Girl Tuscan versus Cad Bane?
Dude, that'd be
Word.
cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I would
She's
love
coming.
that.
She's coming back in the next episode. She has to.
God.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
And we're all gonna
And so is
cry
Max
and cheer.
Rebo. Is Max Rebo gonna fight? Is he gonna avenge?
Rebo's gonna
his
rock the
band's
Rancor.
death and
He's gonna
join?
play him in. That's gonna
Nah,
be the
dude.
pageantry. You know, it's like when the twins had the drummer. Max Rebo is gonna play in the Rancor and Boba Fett riding
I want
it.
to see Max Rebo in some like Mandalorian armor.
No, it's
He
just
walks
it's
up,
gonna,
is it-
dude. No, Max Rebo's gonna be at the front of the Rancor. It's gonna look like the Mad Max Fury Road.
Okay.
He's gonna have a
war
guitar.
boy.
Oh,
He's gonna be
Yeah,
like,
the flames coming out of that tube from the back.
He's be like, dun 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 dun. That'll be great. Yeah,
Wow.
heavy jizz. That's what it'll be.
I love it. Eclectic jizz.
And he plays drums on the heads of his enemies.
That's how you make jizz music.
Jizz.
Oh,
Yeah, I
it's
don't-
fun.
man.
It's fun.
So, this episode just it feels like every now and then you get something in Star Wars, and this has happened throughout the you might not love the prequels, but that Anakin versus Ben Kenobi or Obi-Wan Kenobi on Mustafar, it's a moment, it's important, and you might not love everything in the sequel trilogy, but that throne room scene with Snoke and Kylo and Rey is big and important, or the Luke and Yoda scene and all that stuff. And throughout the, think even if you've never really watched, Clone Wars and Rebels, you probably know about the Darth Maul stuff, or about Ahsoka and Darth Vader and their lightsaber battle. So I think this episode is one of those Star Wars moments where it's just, you're never going to forget Luke Skywalker force pushing little hop along Howie there, running
Even just
through-
like taking out the probe and just like shoots him in the butt, and he's just like, start jumping.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Abby's
little, like,
gonna
growls.
say it.
What, the first time he jumps?
No, when he gets the training ball and he just pushes
Just
rolls
passes
it.
it.
Oh, and does like a gizmo. It's like, this is how you play with it?
Yeah, he's like, I used to have a
Meh.
ball too.
Yeah.
I know how to
Okay.
do this.
Doing it.
Oh, this is what we're doing. This
Doing it.
is what Jedi's do.
This is easy.
Yeah. No, I'm a Jedi now. I got a ball. Whole thing's great.
Yeah, rolling it.
So let's get to the end of this episode so we can start trying to like put all these pieces together. We get to Freetown. Well, no, first we go back to
Boba.
Boba.
Sons of Tatooine.
We get the classic. All right, it's time for a war in Star Wars. Everybody, get around the table. Get to that.
You
I
look
love
concerned.
how Fennec is like, well, we've got Chrysanthemum and we've got Din Djarin, and then there's those other guys. They're not good enough.
Oh my
We got
god.
these- We got these kids who can only do so much because they're kids.
We'll
You got a
steal
couple
some water.
teenagers.
Well, don't they mention that the mods are gonna basically just be like on patrol? I'm like,
just
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
watchers.
just
get
look
them out
at
of the fucking way.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
rats.
It's the
They're
foot clan.
tattletales.
Well, you know what though? That's fine, because if George Lucas would have had those mods, you would see behind the scenes footage of George Lucas talking to Steven Spielberg, like, wow, we got these mods. They're kids. They're half droids, and they're the key. They're the key
mods.
To
I knew you were gonna say mods are the key.
The mods are the key
to this whole thing.
Yeah, like when he's describing the battle droids, and he's like,
Rick McCollum's just like,
and
this is gonna be the
best
thing you've ever seen. These mods are gonna like steal the show. This is their movie.
Oh my god,
the Vestas are fucked.
The visual effects guys are like, we can't do it.
Anyways, so yeah, they're around this table. They go to this table. They go to the table. And they say they need more muscle. By the way, I was pretty tired when I watched this the first time. When he says, I know where to get muscle, and they see the Jawas, I was like, wait, are the Jawas going to fight? Oh, Abby, Thunderhouse, you need to show off your Rick McCallum, your item. It's back there somewhere. It's back there in the Endor woods back there.
That's her training tree that she climbs to.
The mods are fucked.
So the mods are fucked. What now? That's a signed 8x10. You're gonna have to add George Lucas and Kenny Baker to that.
100%. And this is on the finest printer paper that you can find. And the ink is just barely running out. It's fantastic.
Was that printed out in 1999?
Yeah, it was. It was printed out during a Tunisian sandstorm.
Yeah, and I framed it.
Well, Qui-Gon's wig was flopping through the air. Oh my god.
Oh my god. I gotta watch that tonight.
That's some good shit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then Din Djarin, I can finally say his name. Din Djarin heads over back to Freetown. Mos Pellos?
Pelgo. Yeah.
Which when he has the conversation with Cobb Vanth, and the Cobb tells the deputies, like, get all men and women of fighting age. We're gonna have a meeting. I'm like, I don't think there's a lot of people that live in this town.
It's just the two people.
Knock on all three doors and get them out.
Yeah. Well, he does say tell them to come to town. So I'm like, oh, is there more to this town than
There's
just
more to
this
It's Freetown.
street that we
It's
actually
like have you ever been
That's
to
the inner city?
Like, have you guys ever been to a small town where you've got the
sure.
one main street and then there's just like houses scattered?
Yeah.
That's what that reminds me of, just on Tatooine.
Yeah, so there's some rural places maybe where people are.
Sure.
Farmhands.
Sure.
And then this
I love it.
I like how you refer to him as the Cobb. You said the
Cobb. I meant to say Cobb.
You mean the Marshal?
And then
Did he show up here?
Cobb. Did you get the Cobb?
And then the Cobb put his fingers on his pistol. Who would pull first?
The Cobb.
The Cobb.
Bob Cobb.
Or the Bane.
Bob Cobb.
Bob Cobb. And then it kind of seems like, okay, Cobb Vanth, Mando makes a good argument, like, hey, like, these people are bad. And you might not want a part of this fight, but you're gonna be involved.
Which reminds you of the conversation in episode 1. Hey, Gungans, you're gonna want to get into this fight.
Yeah.
Because you're all symbiotic. So you're all gonna want to get your shit together. And
you're easily replicated on this computer program.
And he's like, how about I speed you away? And
Misa thinks
he kind of did the same thing, right? He kind of did the, how about get on your speeder and get out of here? But then he still is going to like call people to arms. I mean, but you're right. Yeah. Like, sorry, continue.
No, I mean, that's it. And then Mando leaves.
Cad Bane's literally sitting like behind, a sand dune, waiting for Mandalorian to take off so he can. Because as soon as he's gone, he's like, "All right, cool. Let me pull my hat down, slowly start walking."
Yeah, he's like, "All right, let me time this right, because I don't want to." He walks back a couple times. He's like,
he's hanging out a little bit longer.
I wonder if he started walking on the way there when he's like, "There's that Mandalorian." If I walk slow enough, maybe he'll leave before I get there.
I want to deal with him.
And this was a big deal, right? This was.
And he's been watching him too. Cad Bane's been watching him because he's like even said, "You should have kept that armor."
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I figured what happened at the beginning of the show is what causes Cad to show up. Like, the one guy he lets, the one syndicate member he lets live goes back and he's like, oh, Cobb Vanth took our spice, and he's like, all right, let me go fucking talk to this guy.
Slow walk.
Fine.
Yeah.
And then that deputy guy that kind of looks like Vince Nordone.
Tony Taylor said the deputy made Cad park his ship where he told Mando.
Good job, deputy.
So great.
Yeah,
that's
thank God Cad Bane killed that parking officer.
Parking meter.
I want to see that scene though. I want to see Cad Bane land and that deputy be like, "You can't park here," and he's like, "Oh, okay, my bad."
Totally tip of the hat.
Should have kept my rocket boots.
And Cobb Vanth takes a one in the shoulder. Looks like he's probably going to be okay though. They're not killing Cobb Vanth.
Fine.
They
showed him being attended to, and it wasn't like a death blow. And yeah.
First off, not only was he attended to, the town looked at the deputy and was like, "Let's go check on him." Went to the Cobb, and they were like, "Oh my God, dude, are you okay?"
Well, Cobb got one, gunshot, maybe in his shoulder, but
it looks like his shoulder. I've tried to watch that so many times. Out of
deputy,
concern.
they were like, "We're gonna make sure you guys know the deputy is his life is ended." Yeah, he's ripped apart basically.
Yeah, well,
with the setup, that was awesome though.
Those you want him kind of. Just the face that Cobb
Prognosis negative. Sorry, keep going.
No, I was just gonna say that Cobb Vanth makes a face at the deputy when he's like just interjects in the conversation with Cad Bane, and it's like.
Yeah,
dude, he's the deputy
off.
Yeah, exactly.
Sheriff won't be bought.
Fuck.
Yeah, and then
serious right now.
It kind of leaves it. It kind of leaves it at that, and then it cuts back to
Grogu's choice.
Grogu's choice.
Is it Grogu's choice, or do we go right to the bar?
Temple's built.
Oh yeah, we got to talk about the bar.
Oh, the bar. Yeah.
Okay.
I know we've already kind of talked about the bar, and I know we've already we paid our respects. But yes. Madame Garza, I was pissed they killed her because again, it's one of those new characters that came in.
You were 90% sure she was the villain.
Well, I was 90% sure she was the villain.
Oh,
sure, a villain.
We didn't talk about this. One of my favorite parts of this episode is when they're having the table planning earlier, and they're talking about how the mayor is off-world or whatever, and the major domo was like, "Oh, that was a planned vacation,
like a scheduled vacation."
I totally knew that one was coming.
I love that they've just kept him around.
Keep
him.
Yeah.
Abby said the same thing. I thought Barney Fife was played by James Marsden.
Yeah, he was kind of Marsden-y.
He kind of looked like Cyclops.
Yeah.
He was going to be riding shotgun to a cartoon character at any moment.
That's what I was like, that's a dude from Sonic, isn't it?
That's what she said. I was like, that is not James Carey of Canada.
It's in Westworld too.
Yeah. So yeah, we're back at the Madame Garza's.
But no, I'm bummed out that they killed her. Now I'm pissed.
But Jennifer Beals just got another show.
I'm just pissed
so
that they killed her.
Okay.
Is
there a shot that we see her passed away, or are we just assuming with the blow of the fire? And
I think everybody in there is passed away.
You think everyone's
pretty
dead?
Hardcore dead.
Well, a lot of people survived.
Yeah, that was a pretty big explosion.
I think it could happen.
Pretty big.
A lot of good Rex droids died that day.
Yeah.
Oh man, right?
We got to give a shout out. Our good buddy Trevor Zamet from NECA wanted me to make sure I acknowledge how funny it was that the droid server in that bar was writing down orders. I thought that was very funny.
Can I get you anything?
Yeah, it's actually very funny.
It's authentic.
I'm sure it's just for like comfort, so write it down.
Well, I'm sure, not even they're not the
Did
best
you get
droids.
that droid? Do you need to write that down?
I've got it all right here.
You should always write it down.
Yeah, and that's what the droid did. It's very attentive.
So yeah, it blows up, and this is the terrorist attack. This is kind of. It took 6 episodes to get here, but this is kind of setting the stage.
Now I want those Pikes to die.
Cad Bane's
I'm
here.
ready.
The Pikes are blowing up Madame Garza's pleasure palace.
I was expecting more. I thought this was going to be that scene from The Godfather where the warring factions were going to start, just fucking with each other. So I thought that Garza's was first to go, and then we were going to see something else happen. We need like the Sonny Corleone being killed scene,
like a slow motion montage, like Goodfellas. You start seeing
again, like it went back to being a crime show for just like 10 seconds. I was like, oh man, here we go. This is they're going to the mattresses.
It's just all of a sudden you hear Jimi Hendrix. Dun 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 dun. There's got to be someplace out of here.
Now we still think that there's still like a bigger villain, right? Like we don't think that Cad Bane is the one who's like masterminding,
right? Because
everything.
Cad Bane, he's a hired gun normally, right?
He's a
bounty.
And he said syndicate. He didn't even say the Pikes. Or no, it's the Pike syndicate, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if, like,
behind,
at this point, I thought maybe before the last episode, if there was somebody kind of controlling the Pikes, we would know.
Mm-hmm.
We know Thrawn's coming at some point. But I don't know. Like,
seems too low stakes for Thrawn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Sure. This feels more like Kira to me. I still think that. We could be seeing the Mother of Dragons. That's what I call her. Because I can't think of her real name right now. And Amelia Clark.
There you go.
There you go. You did it.
I did it.
Did it.
Nice.
Emma Clark. I think having a prominent female villain that is a big deal in Star Wars is probably a cool thing, and I think that that's a character that resonated with people, and I know that she's been in the comics a little bit more lately. So
you know what though, at this point now with all the retcons happening, I'm just like, the comics are fun, but it's its own thing.
Oh, do you remember before this season, people were like, Dr. Aphra, she's coming.
Oh, dude, I still think that could still happen in a show.
Yeah.
Mother of Great Dragons. Oh, that's nice.
Like Jason's Mighty Duck Lady herself.
Amelia!
And I was all.
Oh man.
Totally
just
not.
Imagine those two. Imagine Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan trying to get into Madame Garza.
We want to make a pleasure palace where the inside is like the outside.
Hey, give me that movie right now.
And then at the cantina.
Yes.
We can totally get our helmets cleaned.
Oh my god.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's take a deep breath. We've covered a lot of ground. There's a lot happening in this show, and it feels like the stakes went up by about 150,000% in 1 week. So let's roundtable it. Troy, I'll start with you. There's one episode left. Do we know who's directing next week? Has been announced?
Don't know. I'm guessing Favreau, probably.
Could be Favreau. Who directed the finale last year? It was the guy,
Ant-Man guy, Peyton Reed, wasn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, we don't know who's directing yet. Could be George Lucas. Could be Ryan Johnson. Could be Brian Johnson, the singer of AC/DC.
Could be Ryan Dole. We don't even know.
We don't know. Troy, where do you think this is heading into next week?
I really think, like you said, that this has really raised the stakes, which is very welcome. Like now they're swinging for the fences with the Star Wars television here. Like we've seen all of these things that we didn't expect to see. And it's very clear that like Filoni and Favreau have free roam with all of the characters, all of the toys. And it's Rodriguez.
Direct.
Is that confirmed? I don't know.
Well, Blue Chainsaw Man's an admin. I believe him.
I don't know. I believe Blue Chainsaw Man.
I'll look it up.
But yeah, I mean, I also think that this is teeing up things like we're talking about all of the different, like Kira showing up. Like if we're going to start seeing all of these underground crime families, like maybe that sets up Ahsoka, because they really went out of their way to make Ahsoka kind of ingrained in that like 1313 underworld
Mhm.
land. So maybe she gets pulled back into that through this somehow. So it's cool. Like, I think somebody in the chat, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was, said like Star Wars television is in its infancy, and you can see them finding their way. Like these last couple of episodes, it's like, oh, now they're really exploring, hey, that sets up this and that sets up this, and then we can play the long game on that. So I'm excited. I'm down. And I mean, I didn't mean to be like, oh, Rodriguez, but Filoni directed the shit out of this episode, and Bryce Dallas Howard directed the shit out of the last episode. And I know everybody keeps saying like, give them movies. No. Keep them doing this, because this is awesome. They can continue doing this serialized television. And yes, I mean, I would love to see them do a movie, but at the same time, I want them to keep doing this because this is good stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So. I think I did look it up, and I found some clickbait website. It took me like 3 hours to find out the answer, because it's like paragraph 4. Now you might be wondering just what time Book of Boba Fett comes on in your part of the world. Well, look, like Jesus. Anyways, I think because next week is probably going to be action packed and a lot of, fighting. I think that's what Robert Rodriguez, like, you remember he directed the episode last year where Boba Fett showed up and went nuts with the gaffy stick. So
but he also directed the mods episode. So,
come on, I'm trying here.
I mean, we have yet. So I think next week first of all, it needs to be a 2-hour episode, right? Because you have
8 hours.
You have so many threads that you kind of have to. We have, the Cad Bane payoff. We're gonna see more Cobb Vanth. We're gonna find out there's gonna be Tuscan stuff. We have a whole Rancor, and that's why it has to be. That's why it has to be directed by Robert Rodriguez, because it's gonna have, because Machete's gonna be in it, and he's also joining the team. And it's like there's so many things that I feel like they have set up to happen in the finale of this show that it needs to be.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of,
you know what I mean?
It's going to be one of those.
Yeah, Rube Goldberg, like bam, bam.
Yeah, I think it's going to start like heading to battle. Like there's not going to be another.
Well, it has to be, because usually on TV shows, when there's this kind of thing at the end, usually your second to the last episode,
penultimate,
is when the big battle happens. And the last episode is kind of the aftermath. So it's like we didn't do that. So. Yeah.
Are we going to get that scene where like Gandalf comes over the ridge? But it's like the Tuscan Raider and Cobb Vanth, and they're there with a bunch of Tuscans and like
there's
townsmen.
A lot of, there are a lot of, to me, like, Cad Bane seems like a badass, but I have not. I know I've said this already, but the good guys have a lot of really fucking like heavy hitters. Like there are a lot of heavy hitters on the good guy side.
They got BK, they got Mando.
So it's like, you got Boba Fett, you got Mando, you got
Fennec.
There's going to be a female Tuscan. There's a fucking Rancor.
Yeah.
You got Chris Sanson.
Cobb Vanth.
Like, what
do they have besides a bunch of pikes?
Possibly.
And then Luke Skywalker's going to show up too.
It's like, what the fuck are they fighting against?
Okay, can you imagine seeing Luke Skywalker fighting side by side with Boba Fett?
That's not
like,
they
dude,
look
come
over
on.
Each other. I want to see a scene where they look over. They're both on the same side, but they look over and recognize each other. And Boba Fett's just like,
like looks for a pit, making sure there's no no Sarlacc nearby. Like, oh god.
I really don't think that we're gonna. I don't think we're gonna see any more Luke or Grogu this season. I really don't
even say that.
I don't.
We're gonna be wrong. But you know what happens next week, right after the episode?
Kenobi trailer.
We're gonna get a fan first for Star Wars from Hasbro.
Yeah. We're having such a good show.
Yeah.
You've been asking for it, Star Wars fans. That's right. It's
your
Clone Trooper
mods.
Nameless mods.
It's gonna be great. And
order them now and get them sometime 2024.
Craig,
crawling their way to you. Sorry.
I got a question for everybody, and this is not something like that I even thought of, Because I've had this whole thing where it's like, oh, we're going to see in a future season where they go and they take back Mandalore and Boba Fett takes the throne. And like, I've been thinking way down the line in the future. Somebody asked me today, does Boba Fett die in the next episode?
If he does, it's going to sure, he could. Maybe he dies if he dies trying to protect the other Tuscan or something. I mean, I just think
I pre-ordered enough toys of him that he'll die.
The thing about that is, like, I think it could be, really poignant, and it could be like a kind of a cool send-off to a character that I used to hate that I now like, and that does seem like it would be a cool thing to do.
Jake's like, from my personal perspective, this, for me and my journey with Boba. No, I mean, I agree.
No, but what makes me think they won't kill him off is, like, you would think if they're going to bring Boba Fett back, give him all this lore, give him stuff to do. Yeah, give him a lot of cool stuff to do.
Yeah, they filled him in.
You would maybe have had him in the last 2 episodes. Like, if you're going to kill him off in the last episode, you probably would have had him doing
cool some weight to his 2 episodes.
Yeah. Exactly. There's some structural things, I think, with the season, but I think the end justifies the means, and I think that those 5 episodes, I guess it's 4, were really good, and I think that you got a good legacy.
I think he's going to get that respect that he hasn't been getting this whole first half of the season.
Hey. I think the Sarlacc pit is on the Syndicate side and shows up.
Just crawling out.
Hey,
this is all-out war. I love it.
You know what's actually probably going to happen? He's going to get injured, and he's going to get modded. And there's going to be a
Sarlacc pit?
He's going to have like a cybernetic...
Luke's going to take his hand off and give it to Boba. Here you go, buddy.
And then Han's going to show up and go,
take this.
What are you doing, Luke?
Don't you know who that is?
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. I think we're in for a treat next week. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Are we all staying up? Because I had to stay up last week because I couldn't sleep because I was so excited.
So we have to stay up if you do?
No.
Well, I said that I was going through
up.
I was so excited for this episode to happen for like on Wednesday night or on Tuesday night that I was comparing it to like, this is some 5-year-old Christmas Eve bullshit that I'm going through right now. Where I was so excited I couldn't sleep. So I ended up watching it at midnight. And then, of course, the episodes have been so good that I just lay there and just go, oh, my God. Oh, my God.
But that's easier for you because it's midnight for you. It's like 3 a.m. for us, and I have to work
it's
in the
called
morning.
fucking
But I'm still not sleeping
week.
worth a shit.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I will say this. Boba Book Club has not messed up my sleep schedule the way that Midnight Mando did. Like, there was a month period where I was just like, sleep until 5 in the afternoon. I had no idea what was going on.
Well, I like not having to podcast every night of the week, so I'll be a little relieved when Boba's over.
No, I think we're in for something special. I think it's going to be satisfying, and knowing that we got Kenobi around the corner, knowing we got Andor this year, and it feels like the Star Wars universe is in a really cool place. It's been really interesting moving out of like just psychotic Ghostbusters hype for 2 years straight, basically, and then being able to take a deep breath and move into some really exciting Star Wars stuff has been really, really cool. And I love doing this. So I'll miss it, but let's do our final thoughts. I think if anybody has anything that they want us to tackle, put it in the chat. We'll do some rapid fire Q&A here at the end. But Jake, what's your final thoughts?
I'm just, you mentioned that Ghostbusters thing, and it's like, we watched, Ghostbusters Afterlife thinking we weren't going to see what we saw. And then it's like the exact same thing happened with this last episode of, it's just weird that we're watching a Boba Fett show and got what we got this week. And we talked about how nothing was going to top like the Luke episode of The Mandalorian. And then we got this and now there's one more episode. And it's just like, I just don't even know what to think anymore about what we're going to get. It's like, it literally is like we're in a fever dream or something. It's just, I'm super excited about whatever is going to happen next week.
Yep. Abigail?
Same. Yeah, like there's everything that we've gotten from the show I've enjoyed. I think just more the ones that came out recently I've enjoyed more than the original episodes, and I really can't wait to see what the finale of this is going to be, and like when all the forces come together, what the battle's going to be. And also to see yeah, I would love to know what happens to Grogu. I think it would be really disappointing to not have a follow through on that from this episode next week. I'd love to have some sort of an answer, a connection, like a shot of where it can move forward or something.
Who was it? Ryan, John Yerkeba? Somebody said it's going to be something along the lines of Luke walking, and Leia comes up, and she's pregnant, and Luke's like, and she's like, "What was his choice?" And he'll say, "He's not clear. He's not ready." And then, she'll be like, "Kylo's coming. He's coming."
I mean, that's possible.
Ben Solo. We're gonna name him Ben. Just let you know. Yeah, I don't know, Abby. I think we're gonna get. I don't know. I mean, we might not get full resolution, but I think we'll get a little taste, a little tease.
Mm-hmm. A little morsel, just something.
Little Rick McCallum.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan.
Yeah. Final thoughts. Well, I think Jake summed it up pretty well. It has been like a fever dream. I'm pretty hardcore into Star Wars. Like, I love all of it. So even when people are saying I didn't really love the first episodes are good, but I love these later ones more. It's hard to disagree with that, even though I do love the earlier ones as well, because I'm just like, this is like my meth. I'm like the Methalorian. That's kind of what's happening here. And I do love these shows. Like, we are getting the things that I've always dreamed about getting, and this is not just in Boba Fett, but this is also happening in Mandalorian. And in some cases, I'm getting stuff I didn't even know I could have. So
like a 30-year-old Mark Hamill.
Hamill. Dude, like, yeah, it's all of that, and it's got me so excited for the next episode. No matter what I get, it's hard, like, because I just don't know what to expect, just because of how the last two episodes were. My only expectations are we're going to see a dude ride a Rancor, and we're all going to lose our collective minds.
If we don't, it's going to be...
The rest is just...
We're going to see a Rancor eat somebody.
Yeah.
Like, period.
Dude,
it's going to eat some pipe.
Will they relaunch the Rancor HasLab directly after this episode?
Hey, well,
God,
you know what?
If
If Boba Fett rides a Rancor and a Rancor eats somebody, then I will back that HasLab.
There we go.
There it is. But yeah, that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling overwhelmed, and I'm feeling excited, and I'm feeling genuinely happy.
Troy's going to get mad at me, but I'm just going to say it. If you were lucky enough, I'm going to keep Troy really scared right now. He's like, fuck, what's he going to say?
I'm stressed.
No, if you were lucky enough to get the Ultimate Ghostbusters Collection DVD set, you are in for a treat, because Troy Benjamin and Chris Stewart, the fan commentary for Ghostbusters 84, is included with that set. It was only originally available on the Steelbook that went out of print way back in 2019. So it's no joking.
First off, two of us didn't get that set. I'd like to just point that out. And also, this is a Boba Fett show.
I want to promote my co-hosts. It's one of my favorite pieces of Ghostbusters content. It's Eric Reich moderates the chat with Chris, Troy, and somebody else, an unnamed, another
Ashley,
person.
And Sean Bishop was on it too.
Oh, okay, Sean Bishop. So, it's really good stuff, and you should all
thanks,
go
man.
check it out.
And yeah, Troy, just to follow up on that, we're all super proud of you, by the way.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm wearing my Troy shirt.
I know Abby wearing the LXG shirt. Nobody in the chat has called out that she's wearing a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen t-shirt right now, and that's hurtful.
It's a big deal. It's an AJ Quick style prank that I'm pulling. Y'all don't even know. Pranking you.
First movie. But hey, Boba Fett, we can talk about that, right?
Go for it.
Yeah. You're good.
It's good to have momentum on this show again. Not our show. We always have momentum. We're fine. Boba, this is fine. But the actual proper show, I was starting to lose steam on like episode 3 and 4. I was just like, oh, this Boba Fett show is not exactly what I thought it was going to be, and I was kind of in that valley where I just wasn't feeling it anymore. And then after the last 2 episodes, I'm hyped on the show, and I'm hyped on where it can go and what it can lead to, and I actually kind of hate myself for being down on it as much as I was for those couple of episodes, because every show has bad episodes. I sat through the first season of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and 90% of that thing is terrible.
Oh, dude,
but it
season
led
2,
to awesome
that last
things.
half of season 2.
But
that was a writer's strike. I mean, that wasn't their fault. Anyway,
that's true. But
I don't get that show. I've come to the conclusion.
Jake and I are like, well, I thought they were good.
I was on my computer today. I was working. Abby had Next Gen. I looked up and I saw Data playing with a cat, and I was like, "This
Data has a
Star
cat.
Wars."
Hey, the cat has a name.
Yeah.
It's Spot.
yeah, it's
Get
fine.
yeah.
The cat's
Pay
name is
attention.
Spock.
Spot.
No.
Oh.
Craig's like,
Craig.
Spock is a cat. Spock's been a cat this whole time.
No, only in the
Craig
It was
facts.
Leonard Nimoy.
only in the Next Generation.
Oh, someone pass me an Advil, please.
Troy, I'm right there with you. It's had some ups and downs, but the last 2 weeks have been nothing but fun, exciting, really memorable, and wonderful Star Wars, and that's what it's all about. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, we
Yeah.
just had a cat appearance. Both Jake and I were just
We're
both
playing
very
with the cat.
distracted.
I mentioned a cat, and all of a sudden these cats are showing up. By the way,
Gene?
They knew.
sitting on the floor of podcasting sucks. Just want to put that out there.
Thank you
Don't worry,
for
we're
doing
almost
it,
at the
Craig.
2-hour mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the last time I sat on the floor to podcast, the last 10 minutes turned into utter chaos. So tonight's a lot calmer.
There was an incident.
That was funny.
Yeah.
So
me.
yeah, I mean, I feel good. I'm excited about next week. We'll be just going strong like we always do. Sorry, I got really distracted. Our views dropped to
Put to one. It's done that like twice.
I was like, what happened?
What did
They're
we
sick
do?
of my cat talk.
they really didn't want to talk about Star Wars Next Generation.
I think we're all. Go ahead, Troy.
I was gonna say a quick shout out to the Naboo Starfighter, because it was rad in this episode. We didn't talk
Badass.
about it at all. It had that like biplane noise every time we saw him in the cockpit, and
It was badass.
yeah,
And the stars moving while he's in the cockpit too. You could tell you could totally tell it was LED screen, but at the same time, it was
still looks
awesome.
great.
Looks like
Yeah.
Star Tours. It's the best
Yeah.
thing ever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we did it. Another one of these bad boys in the books. I'm
We
excited.
did it.
I'm
Yeah.
looking for next week's return. If I'm more excited about anybody's return next week, it is maybe getting a little more info on the Black Melon.
Oh, Black Melon.
Been
Miami
abs-
Lamb.
Whoa,
That
what
was
about-
a great opportunity to talk about the Cobb, but
Oh my God, the Cobb.
Yeah.
The Cobb
Or-
is my favorite
hey,
thing now.
What about because we haven't seen him in a couple episodes. Boba Fett.
Sure.
Remember that 4-episode arc in Dexter, or The Closer? Remember the close? Was that Kira Sedgwick when she just wasn't in it for 5 episodes? No, it's never happened before. Something weird's going on in Star Wars, but I'm all here. I'm here for it because they gave us Luke Skywalker, and who is going to argue with that? Not I. And last thing, Mark Hamill's been tweeting that he has no Disney Plus in his hotel. He's in Vancouver filming. Ryan, has Mr. Hamill showed up at your house to watch Book of Boba Fett?
I invited him via Twitter. I've gotten no response. But if that happens, I'll have Paul Lee also show up, and we're just going to have a Rebel pilot party. And
You down with RPP? Yeah, you know me.
you know me. So unfortunate.
All right, this episode's going on too long.
I like it.
Okay.
Let's nuke
All right,
some fridges
everybody.
while we're here.
Let's nuke the fridge. By the way, I don't have our normal music, so I'm just going to play something called Rock. Let's see what-
Jake, can you improvise some lyrics?
This is the same song, right? It sounds the same. I am Boba Fett. The sands of Tatooine. Somebody get me a Black Melon.
Yeah. I can write a song to this. Grogu. gonna train today. Gonna lift a frog to the USA.
Oh, this is a South Park song?
Yeah, it's a
This is by
Now you're a
Matt Stone and Trey
man.
Parker?
Yeah. Grogu!
Running around, jumping like a frog, doing flips on stones, yeah. Abby, go.
Oh, I already did mine.
Go again.
All right, here. I gotta add one more
Are you a
part.
foundling or a Padawan?
One. Here you go. Two. Anyway. Right. Well, you gotta make a choice. It's gonna be tough. With chainmail or lightsaber stuff. Yeah.
Got some ants building a hut.
Whoa. All right. Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Hi, guys.
I like this. Good night, y'all.
Grogu.
Grogu.
Grogu, little green frog man.
Are we
No.
still going?
We're still going.
Frog.
Craig's sitting on the floor. He doesn't know how to turn
Greg
it off.
can't shut it off. That's
I don't know
right.
what to do.
Sleep now.
Computer doesn't work.
You're like Shawn Michaels trying to use AOL.
Oh. Yeah. I was left for dead on the sands of Tatooine. Bye.